We've never seen Michael Mann's Thief from 1981, so let's fix that. Stick around, we'll tell you why this one slipped past us, what we're expecting going in, and then we'll watch the film and come back with our honest, first-time reactions.
Confessions of a Film Poser!
Thief is a 1981 neo-noir crime thriller and Michael Mann's feature directional debut. It's the film that set the stage for the style he'd later perfect in Heat, Manhunter, Collateral, and Miami Vice. The movie stars James Caan as Frank, a professional safecracker desperate to leave the criminal world behind and finally build the normal life he's always imagined. The story was inspired by the autobiography of real-life jewel thief Frank Manhunter. Mann worked closely with actual ex-cons, real Chicago cops, and veteran safecrackers to make every detail feel authentic. The heist scenes use real techniques, no movie magic, just the raw, methodical process of breaking into a safe the way the pros did it. James Caan has said that Frank is one of his favorite roles of his entire career. His iconic diner monologue, where he lays out his entire worldview, is still considered one of his finest scenes. And of course, we can't forget the synth-heavy score by Tangerine Dream, which gives the film its cool, moody, neon-soaked atmosphere and helps cement its place in neo-noir history. So with that in mind, let's pass it over to present-day Eli and Vince to steal a first-time viewing of Thief. All right, Vince, this week we have Michael Mann's first directional debut, Thief from 1981. What do you know about this movie, dude?
The only thing I know about this movie is that the Criterion
Those Criterion tits.
The Criterion tale.
Thief has the best Criterion tits I've ever seen, buddy.
Have you ever seen the knockers on this Criterion film?
These knockers, these jugs are in 4K and has extra commentary.
The Criterion.
These jugs will make you feel bad about the intellect that was given to you by God himself, since you can't understand most of these movies. All right, what do you know about Thief, dude?
I know that every time there's a Korean...
Every time there's a Korean, I know that
dude,
I want to watch Thief.
Oh, man, I'm channeling my inner James Caan, dude. I know that every time the Criterion sale happens, I always see people jumping on this, and the Barnes & Noble by me is always sold out. This weekend, I happened to go in there, and they had a copy, and I snagged it.
Yeah, it's funny, because I feel like between the two of us, you and I are both pretty connected to movies and know a little bit about different things about movies that maybe sometimes cover the gap in knowledge the other person has. But I feel like these days, you and I are like buying movies that we've never seen is the number one criteria, but have really cool covers. And I don't disagree, dude. The cover was 85% of why I wanted to watch this movie.
Yeah. What's the Adam Sandler Thief movie? Uncut Gems.
Yep.
I was talking to someone about that movie, and they said that was good, but Thief was better. And this was years ago, and I had no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. Before we get started, what do you know about Michael Mann? Do you know anything about Michael Mann?
No, I know nothing about the story.
Okay, with that in mind, I was hoping you would say that because I want to read off Michael Mann's top 10 best movies according to ChatGPT. And I want to know what movies you've seen, and I'll tell you which ones I've seen.
Okay.
All right, well, coming in number 10 is Black Hat from 2015. It's divisive on release, but now gaining cult status for its cyber thriller realism and Mann's visual style. I think that's the one with Chris Hemsworth, right? Where he's like the hacker.
I've never heard of it.
Okay, on to the next one. I haven't seen Black Hat.
Okay.
I have not seen that. The next one, number 9, is Public Enemies with Johnny Depp. He plays John Dillinger. And I have definitely seen this one. I don't care for this movie. I feel like the way it's shot completely takes you out of the movie. And I love Johnny Depp. Like, Johnny Depp's performance is great as John Dillinger, of course. Not my favorite movie. Have you seen this one?
I haven't seen it. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it. I think you probably told me it wasn't the best, so I never even ventured into checking it out.
Well, thanks for listening to me. I appreciate that. The next one is Miami Vice. I think this is the one with Jamie Foxx and Colin Farrell. Have you ever seen this one?
I have not.
I haven't seen this one either. I remember when it came out, people like dogged it. So it's surprising to see that this is number 8 on his list. What about number 7, Ali? You know who starred in Ali?
I do.
Chris Rock slapper himself.
I still have never seen that movie, but I wanted to.
So I've seen bits and pieces. Like, I've mostly watched that movie on cable, and I come in at different points in it, and then I drop off. So I can't say that I've fully seen this movie, like watched it from beginning to end.
Are you a big biopic guy? Because I do.
I do like a biopic if it's about an interesting subject or person. I do. I enjoy a biopic. All right, number 6 is The Last of the Mohicans. This is the Daniel Day-Lewis epic, sweeping, emotionally, and beautifully shot movie about the last Mohican. I have never seen this.
I have never seen it either, but I have heard of the story of the Last Mohican, and it sounded cool.
Yeah, there's definitely, we're gonna have to add this one to the list because I've always wanted to watch this movie, much like Natural Born Killers. Like I saw that video cover so many times going to the video rental store,
Same.
whether it be Blockbuster or something else. But this one is probably number 2 and a very close second. I used to always see the cover of this, and it's so, I mean, it's captivating, right? It's Daniel Day-Lewis looking like he's just running straight towards the camera. All right, what about Manhunter? Manhunter was the first film to feature Hannibal Lecter, visually influential and highly regarded. I've seen this. This movie's awesome. William Peterson's in it. And then I believe Hannibal Lecter's played by Brian Cox. It's before our boy Anthony Hopkins even played the role.
Cool. I've heard of it, never seen it.
You'd love this movie. You definitely need to put this one on your list. All right. Number 4 is Thief, which I can tell you that I haven't seen it. You haven't seen it. So looking forward to that one tonight. Number 3 is Collateral with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx.
Never seen it.
I saw it, but it was a very long time ago, probably right after it first came out, and I don't remember much about it, but I remember I enjoyed it. It's a different, like, Tom Cruise role. Okay, number 2 is The Insider. I had to look this one up because I didn't know, I don't recall ever seeing it, but it's a tense journalism drama with Russell Crowe and Al Pacino, nominated for 7 Oscars, Vince.
Whoa, never seen it.
Never seen it. Number 1 is Heat. Yes, I've seen Heat. I've seen multiple like versions of Heat. I've seen the theatrical and the director's cut. It's a crime epic starring Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, often considered man's masterpiece. I would say on this list of the movies I've seen, Manhunter is very, very good. But yeah, I think Heat's probably his best overall movie.
Heat I have seen probably just once, and I'm surprised the Mohicans one so far down the list because I've heard about that one a lot, especially compared to all these other ones.
Apparently they're working on a Heat too, which I'm not sure how that would work, but yeah, they're coming out.
Cool.
All right, well let's get to this movie. I think we've yapped about it enough. We both revealed how much we don't know. It's a Michael Mann movie. James Caan's in it. Tangerine Dream does the soundtrack, which is awesome. I'm always down for a neo-noir, neon-soaked, landscape detective thief story. So I'm looking forward to this one, man. If it's anything like Drive, I'm going to love it.
Ooh, I'm in, dude. I'll see you in about 2 hours.
All right, let's pass it off to future Vince and Eli, boys. Hey, and we're back. I feel like a large reaction right now would be ill-advised based on the movie, the elegancy of the movie that we just saw. I don't know about you, but I know for a fact if I had to break into a safe to steal jewels, I would know how to do it after watching Michael Mann's Thief from 1981, starring James Caan. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and I feel the same. I think all you have to do is get a whole bunch of bobby pins and get them real long and get the tip really hot and then just drive it into there, dude, and just wiggle.
Well, no, I was going to say you need, first and foremost, you need Willie Nelson. Secondly, you need an anonymous old guy that works in a machine shop, and you can take down some of the most like high security vaults at your leisure.
Yeah, the way that they did it in this movie for the final safe that they went into was actually pretty badass, dude. That entire scene was so cool, and like the logistics of having such like a hot soldering iron or whatever it was, and then having the fire extinguishers on hand so you didn't burn down the place while you're doing it. I was just like, it was cool, dude. It felt so real.
For sure, this movie was sandwiched in between 2 awesome vault break-ins at the beginning of the movie and at the end of the movie. And yeah, they really took their time to let you know the ins and outs of kind of how these things are executed. And in the beginning, I talked about, I had read that they got real jewel thieves and information from real criminals and real police. And so I think authenticity was really what they were going for. And it I don't know much about jewel thievery, but it felt pretty authentic to me.
Yeah, and the last heist, the amount of jewels that he just kept throwing in that backpack endlessly, dude, was insane.
Yeah. So I loved this movie. I really didn't know much about it, but I really, really thoroughly enjoyed this movie from both a story aspect, a performance aspect, and the direction was top notch. Yeah, I mean, it's everything that I was told that it was.
Yeah, it was a beautiful movie. I learned after watching it that the director man, he was one of the first directors that would always have a water truck on hand so he can just hose down the streets to make like
Mm.
the reflective night scenery, the noir aspect of the movie. I guess he was the first and kind of started a trend that tons of directors do nowadays.
You know, if you think about it, it's good to always have a water truck on hand for any occupation, not just filmmaking. You never know when a fire could burst out or, a drought. So if you had just a hose on hand to truck at you every single time you got thirsty, that wouldn't suck either, dude.
That's very true. All right, let's
Yeah,
break down our favorite parts of this movie, starting from the beginning. What did you think of Willie Nelson and those sexy eyes, dude?
yeah. Honestly, I was a little bit confused. I was a little bit confused by his character when he first came in. You can't escape that it's Willie Nelson. I mean, Willie Nelson has one of the most iconic Willie Nelson looks of all time. So you know pretty much that it's Willie Nelson, and he really has an important role to play in this movie. And yeah, he was given some like sexy eyes to James Caan, and I was like, is this movie like way ahead of its time? And are they in a relationship together? They weren't. He was more of a mentor, I guess, to James Caan's Frank character, and so Frank held him in really high regards. I have a lot to say about this movie and the breakdown of it, but that's my initial thoughts of the beginning. I thought it was cool. They definitely set up rules in this movie, and they followed those rules. And one of my favorite aspects of this movie, beyond the story, beyond the performances, beyond the cinematography, well, no, the cinematography for sure. But dude, the wide shots that Michael
Yeah.
Mann used. I love when a director uses a wide shot, dude. I just feel like it envelops you so much more into the sequence.
Yeah, I agree. The sound, like you said, the soundtrack of this movie, the visuals, the wide shots, the taking the time to break down characters and allow them to like kind of express their history, where they are, specifically for the Frank character. You get a background that he was in prison. He came up with like the ideal life that he wanted to have. He went through all this crazy stuff in prison that prolonged how long he was even supposed to be there. He talks about like the reason why they extended it 9 years and the people that he had to kill to survive. And then he sits down with this woman and he tells her like, this is all a plan that I have devised. I'm halfway through it. The next step is locking you down, locking down a child, and getting everything that I need to be ready to piece out of here and go to a desert island and survive for the rest of our lives together.
Yeah, so let's back up a little bit because you
I'm
you you you
movie's done,
crunched
dude.
it together. You crunched it together. Yes, you know what? I sat a long time with this movie and to think about why I really, really loved it. Beyond all the stuff of people telling you how great it is, beyond the lists, when you experience a movie that's highly regarded like this movie is, sometimes it's hard to quiet the noise of all of those outside, you know, outside influences. And this one, there's a sequence that you touched on that really encapsulates why this movie is so great. We just came off of watching Natural Born Killers,
Ugh.
and if you and the complaints we had about that movie, this movie in contrast is everything that movie is not, in terms of the stories, the cinematography, the feel. I believe they were in Chicago. Yes, so this movie was, shot in Chicago. The city definitely played a character. Interesting enough, they never tell you what city they're in, and they just refer to it as the city. So I guess it's supposed to kind of be known that it's Chicago, but it's also left a little bit to interpretation. But going back to your review, and the thing that I loved based on what we just saw, in our critiques of Natural Born Killers, I feel like was the story and the characters. And the story and the characters in this movie, man, it just propelled the whole thing and made it such an enjoyable experience. You talk about the scene that James Caan has where he goes on a date. In the beginning of this movie, we see him rob a bank. We kind of get the feel he goes and he hangs out with like a guy who's homeless, just and looks out at the river. And so that's kind of the establishing. After he does this heist, steals all these jewels, he goes and hangs out with this dude, brings him some food, and they sit there. So you really get the vibe of like he's kind of a folksy gangster. And then from there, in the beginning, we kind of see that he's kind of keen on this woman at a diner. So he asks her out and he's late. I don't know. I guess presumably because he was on this heist. Did they make that clear to you? Is that what was going on? He was late because he was at the heist.
I think chronologically what happened wasn't he like pulled over right before meeting her, and then I think he had some things to do, and I think he was kind of like deterred from his schedule, so he did show up like an hour late or something, and she was pissed, and instead of like talking to her, he just manhandles
Dude, he
her.
manhandles her and he rips her
so
out
wild,
of this
dude.
place and like basically doesn't kidnap her, but he like forcefully takes her on this date to this diner. And you're sitting there and you're going, this guy's a maniac. This guy, Khan is almost like a Joe Pesci in Goodfellas or Joe Pesci in Casino, just this volatile, or his character Sonny Corleone in Godfather. He's very close to that, but he's so much more nuanced, and it's because he's given the time to develop the character, both in screen time and just like you could tell that this character meant a lot to him. And so in the course of this diner, and you had pointed out it was a very Tarantino-like scene, which this is way before Tarantino, so you can't give Tarantino credit. But I think one of the things that we enjoy about Tarantino movies are these sometimes longer scenes that, through magnificent dialogue and dialogue that moves and compelling dialogue, you sit with these characters for a long time. And that's exactly what happened in this diner scene between Frank and this woman, Jessie. He's married, right? But he's getting a divorce from his wife. His wife, he basically kept from her that he was a thief. And when he finally told her, she didn't want any part of that life. So they're getting a divorce. But he sees this woman, Jessie, takes her on a date. And through the course of this date at the diner, they just deconstruct this character. And it's what Vincent said, where he starts going into this history as a criminal, being in prison for, I believe it was 9 years. Was that the amount of time he was
I think
in there?
his original stint was supposed to be like 2 to 3 years, and then something happened, and then he was there for a total of 11 or 12 years. So
Yeah,
they tacked on 9.
yeah. So he talks about like when he got into prison, he was very naive and he was very young. And in that system, young men like him that are going into prison for the first time get manhandled, as we'll say. So he defended himself and he ended up crippling a guy. So he got more time tacked on. And me saying that doesn't do justice in the way that this scene in this monologue that James Caan has is just so beautifully unfolded. And you, along with this character Jesse, you go from looking at this maniac to this guy that's completely relatable. And piggybacking on what Vince said earlier, he presents this like a 8x10 of a collage he's created of all the things that he wants to get to in the future for his life and what like a happy ending essentially means for him. There's family, there's children, there's a picture of Willie Nelson, which we find out later that, that guy was his mentor in prison and he means a lot to him and he's trying to get him out of prison. So this scene unfolds and he's got this 8x10 and in the corner, there's these skulls, and this girl, Jessie, that he's out on the first date goes, why are there skulls? And he's like, well, because people forget that we're going to die. Right. It was kind of this constant reminder that we're all going to die. He's going to die. But he had this picture literally of what happiness was to him in the future. And he saw Jessie in that photo and he convinces her to basically go with him through this story. And you're sitting there kind of at the same time watching it going, pun intended, is this a con? And to some degree I think it is, but it was just such a magnificent opening up of this character and letting you, the audience member, understand him from the get-go. Pretty good. Did I describe that well?
That was pretty good. Yeah.
That was my favorite scene in the entire movie.
That's the scene that whenever I finished watching it, I laid in bed, went on YouTube and watched that entire scene again. And this scene is shot probably 20 minutes after you have the original heist that happens. And there's dialogue, but there's not much dialogue. You see this character, you understand that he's a thief. You know none of the background. He goes and meets Willie Nelson, and he's just like, I found the girl. I'm going to go meet her tonight. Everything's in motion. And you're like, okay, what is he talking about? And then the scene happens. I didn't really like the little diagram photo thing that he had, but towards the end of the movie and what happens that we'll talk about later, it kind of justified the existence of that, and the way that they kind of wrapped that up I thought was beautiful.
100% beautiful. And honestly, at the heart, this movie is the story and the structure of it there's not like turns you don't see coming necessarily. This is a very straightforward movie. This is a movie that has been done and troped a ton of times. It's I need one last score and then I get to ride off into the sunset and retire and live this life that I want to live, not as a criminal, but as a normal person. It's very much the theme of this and the motivation to get Frank from one end of the movie to the other. And that collage, I don't know what you mean by you didn't care for that. I don't know if it was it because it was the him reading it off, telling you kind of what it was to him.
I think I didn't like the fact that the character carried around a giant postcard of like an art piece that he made.
But it was so scene, like, did you notice the detail? It was so like slavishly put together.
Yeah.
And it was like obviously something he created in prison.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's something he created in prison. And just when I first saw it, because there's even a part where he takes a note out and then he also takes something out of his wallet and looks at it and puts it away, but you don't get to see what it is. And then in the scene you do get to see what it was. I just felt like I was like, I don't think I understand why this is in the movie. But like I said, later on you find out in that scene what it's about, and then you find out the resolve at the end, and I'm excited to talk about that part.
Well, it's definitely the Chekhov's gun of this story, right? It's what's presented, and then but they pay it off, and they pay it off in a way where it's something that's so monumental to the story. So, you know, the plot of this movie, really good thief gets screwed over, his guy that he gives the jewels to goes and gets killed. The mobsters, the gangsters who killed him, hire James Caan for these huge scores, do a deal with him. And he sees it as like, this is my doorway. This is my ticket out. I need to do this one score and then I'm out. He sets up everything with Jesse. So that part of his life is going well. He's working towards getting Willie Nelson. So these are all the things that are coming to a head and that are at stake for him, which are represented in that collage, which is what I really love about it.
Can I do a shout out to Robert Prosky?
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. I've seen this guy. He was in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
He's been in a few other things. He always looks and feels like Santa Claus to me. So he's always like a character in movies that's so sweet and just like the sweet old man. Not in this. Well, originally in this movie, he comes off as that. He comes off as like someone that wants to take Frank in, wants to give him whatever, will work with him. We'll give him whatever he wants, including his freedom when he's done with whatever the first heist is. And then he flips a switch, dude. And I've never seen this guy be terrifying. He was terrifying in this movie, man.
Yeah, this is an all-time performance. I mean, every scene he's in, he grabs by the neck and just completely just pulls you in, man. And for as good as James Caan was, he was equal.
Oh,
and
that's
what's required in a really good movie. You need a really good protagonist. Maybe you need a protagonist that's not black or white, but gray in this case. And you need a really good antagonist. And you need to tell us why we should hate this guy and why we should root for the protagonist. And they did that. They did that within the first act. We know what his motivation is, what he's trying to get to, how he's going to try to get to it. And he is also makes these turns where he's like this almost sweet guy to like, I'm going to rip your throat out and I'm going to come up here with a gun and put it in your face. And I'm going to, you know, things that you're like, man, there's a lot of innocent people involved here that you're just pointing a gun at, but you understood why he was doing it. And it made sense in the film. And so, yeah, I mean, that's that in a nutshell. There's not much more to it. Again, he gets screwed over by the gangsters that hired him. He's got to shoot his way out. The other thing I want to point out is like, this is not an action movie. There's not really gunplay. I was expecting kind of like a Drive experience where there's a lot of like car chase scenes. None of that, dude. It's just this well-paced story about a man who's a criminal who wants to get out, and he has to run the gauntlet of jewel thievery to get out. And, you know, there's one final boss, and the way that they conclude the story is really good. In the course of the story, I want to point this out. Willie Nelson dies. The cops like basically bug his whole world, like his house. So he starts getting paranoid and basically breaks it off with Jesse. So I was thinking back to the collage on this. I'm like, dude, he just X'd out Willie. He X'd out Jesse, the, you know, perfect wife, and he X'd out his kids. So the only thing left is death. And I thought that at the climax of this movie, he was going to die, and I love that they left it up for interpretation.
Yeah, and I would say it ends with not his own death, but the death of that dream. There's the scene where his partner dies, he kills the mob boss, he kills everyone, he goes back to his car dealership, burns the thing down, and then he takes out that picture, crumples it and throws it on the floor and drives off. So it's
And
like
that's
it was so simplistic whenever you like are expressing it like the way that I'm saying it right now, but
yeah.
watching it and all the build up to that, and then just the way that he's able to like shift and be like, okay, well, now that I have a wife, that's something they can hold over me. Now that I have a child, that's something they can hold over me. Willie Nelson, as sexy as he was in this movie, he's dead, so he's gone. So I guess this isn't the dream that I thought it was. So I'm just going to burn it down, and I'm just going to go and do my own thing.
Well, and when he shows her the collage originally, he goes, "This is my future, and no one's going to get in my way." So you're right. He X'd out all the things that would make him vulnerable and would stop his, it would stop his achieving his final goal. And really, like, he looked out for number one, and he was true to that through the entire movie. Even like you get duped, or I got duped into thinking like, oh, he's got this like kind of healthy relationship with this woman, like he's really got it together. And then like in the end, you just find out he literally, and the symbolism and the literal nature of him burning everything in his life that he's built was so impactful and so powerful. And dude, I'm so glad. This is the exact reason why I wanted to do this, because I wanted to watch movies like this, and I don't remember if it was you or I who brought this. Honestly, I think we chose it based off the cover of the Criterion 4K release. But it worked out, and I love watching these movies that for years people have talked about, or they've been held up in this high regard. And this movie is basically Heat, which is another Michael Mann movie. It's like a smaller, more intimate Heat. And you can really see the groundwork that was laid through this movie and how it contributed to that movie. The score, talk about the score. How did the score affect you, or the overall movie experience?
The score through the scenes that he's killing all these mobsters, and then even like I wonder how much this influenced the John Wick character, because the way that he's just blasting guys, turns like a badass in his leather coat, reloads the gun and continues shooting. Such a freaking badass, dude.
Yeah, and it's like movies like this like kind of point out like how stylized and choreographed, like the John Wick movies are almost kung fu movies
Yeah.
in like the action genre, and this is just like I would call it neo-noir for sure. But Tangerine Dream, just the bed of music that's going on throughout, and transitioning you in and out of how to feel, which is what I felt most about, like the effectiveness of their score. So shout out to them. I don't know if they're still alive. I know they've done other stuff. I just recently rewatched Drive, and I really love that movie. Watching this movie kind of points out like the flaws of some of the storytelling aspects in that movie, because this was just so well done.
Points him out in Drive.
Yeah, like I love Drive, but I always like in Drive, in my memory of Drive, and it's been a minute since I've watched it, but in my memory of it, it's a lot more fast paced than it really is. And I don't mind that. Like, it tells an interesting story, and I love the way Gosling plays that movie. Like the first half, much like what you just described with James Caan and Frank, he doesn't say much. There's actually a line from Drive where he's meeting with the boss guy that he's trying to pay off for his neighbor's husband, who's Oscar Isaac. But he says, I just drive. Like, I don't carry a gun. I'm not, if somebody gets left behind, 5 minutes, I'm out. There's nothing, And there was literally a line James Caan had in this where he's like, I only go for the jewels. I don't do banknotes. I don't do cash. I don't do anything else. I do jewels and jewels only. And so I just saw a lot of influence, and it was cool having watched Drive so recently, but it was definitely inspired by that.
Yeah. And not to bring it back, but the part where he's talking to Leo, Robert Prosky, and he's talking to him about how he can't adopt a child, and he's telling him like, I can't even get a kid, and Leo's like, I can get you any kind of kid you want.
Dude.
What brand do you want? And then that was the first glimpse of how dark this guy was, because you're like, oh, okay, child trafficking. This dude can get anything. And it's like, okay, this guy's much more than I think even Frank expected.
I mean, absolutely a terrifying scene. I completely agree with you. That was another scene that was very dynamic in this. And you didn't have to, like, you understood how evil this guy is, based on like you didn't have to see him be evil.
No,
You know what I mean? I mean, you
he's
see him be evil
gleefully
through the course and the way he treats Frank, but just this transaction of children is basically, it's like a video game. Like, create a character. What do you want? A boy? You want a girl? What race do you want? You know, it's like everything. That was absolutely chilling. I can't agree more.
Yeah, and I think the way that he phrased it too. I think he said, "What brand do you want?"
Yeah,
and I was just like, "What, dude?"
yeah. So in the end, he gets his comeuppance. He takes his gang down. He gets shot, but the final frame is him walking away, which, you know, you could leave. Is he going to like set off on another journey to build what he saw in this collage? To Vince's point, did he just realize, I'm going to throw it all away and go live for myself? Did he walk a couple blocks, fall down dead? You know, I don't know. But that, like, I love that they left it open to interpretation.
Yeah, I think he had a vest on because there's a part where he's like ripping off.
Oh,
and I think it was a vest. Dude, it's too late now, but I would have been 100% down to watch Thief 2 or Theft or whatever they decided to call it. A sequel to this movie after seeing this one probably wouldn't have been as good, but even if it sucked, I'd watch it.
Yeah, but then you're getting into like the John Wick went from like a very grounded movie in the first one, well, as grounded as you can be in that world. And then number 4 is just wild, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that movie, but like him falling down the steps in France. Like,
and he just
that
keeps
scene,
falling down.
Oh, I loved it. It's so over the top and crazy. You know, and on this too, it's like there's all these things going on with people stealing. Like the Louvre just had a big, like a bunch of stuff stolen. I read today that there was a jewel heist that took place somewhere. So this still happens all the time, even with technology and cameras and everything else. So yeah, as far as rewatchability, I'm definitely like, I feel like this is a once a year watch. So that's gotta be a 5 out of 5 for me on that.
Yeah, a 5 out of 5. Even I might watch this more than once a year. Like I'm so glad that we bought it. We both bought it.
Let's not get crazy.
I loved it.
That's like a 6 out of 5.
It would be a 6 out of 5. This might be one of my favorite. And I broke the rule because I texted you today saying like how much I love this movie.
It's okay. I knew
this might be one of my like, even though we've done 5s in the past, this might be one of my favorite movies that we've seen so far.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the year we should put together a list of our top 10 that we've seen. We'll have like 18 that we've done, but I think it'll be fun for 2025 since we're so fresh into this. All right, well, I mean, I don't have much more to say. Go watch this movie if you can have the ability to pick it up in 4K, whether that's like, you know, on a streaming platform or physical. Like, watch it. It just is such a great experience, and I loved it. Thanks for watching this movie with me, Vince.
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon Prime. So if you don't have the money, you have Prime, you can check it out. Criterion sale, half off. Definitely pick it up if you can. This has sparked a new interest in me that I want to go back and watch like 50s through 70s and 80s noir movies. Yeah. Maybe like only for the next few months at least. If you have any noir movies that you love, comment below. I'll check them out. If it's something that me and Eli haven't seen, possibly we can check it out on here. But I think it's a new love of mine, dude.
Have you seen? Something. And this is the only one I'm gonna do because we'll be here all night. Have you seen Chinatown with Jack Nicholson?
I've been trying to add that to my list, but I think you've seen it.
Well, yeah, but so come December we're going to do 2 Christmas movies, one that I've seen that Vince has not, and one that he's seen that I have not. So I think we can break that rule a little bit in the new year. I love Chinatown's an incredible movie, but yeah, I think that's one that you'll really enjoy. But all right, well, let's get out of here. Thank you guys. We're one step closer to being non-posers, and we appreciate you guys for coming along. Thanks to all of our new subscribers. Really appreciate it. You know, get active in the comments. We want to hear from you. We want suggestions. We want your opinions. If you disagree with us, if you agree with us, just put it all in there. We're not going to get touchy about this. Movies are subjective, and we just want to partake in kind of the discourse. I love when people comment and, you know, on an angle of something that I or you have not seen.
Yeah, and we're getting close to 100. If we can get there, I don't know. We'll have Eli streak past the camera naked. Whatever YouTube will let us happen. Let it happen.
Nobody wants that. That's going to get us. We're going to get people. We're going to wake up.
You never know, dude.
Lost 20 subs. But yeah, we'll do something fun. You know,
fun.
tell your friends. Like, join in. Like, let's make this in 2026. Let's become a community, guys. All right. With that, we'll say goodnight. I believe this is coming out after Thanksgiving. Hope in America you had a great Thanksgiving. We got holidays coming up. We're gonna do some holiday movies, some unconventional holiday movies, which I'm excited about. So come back. Like, we're gonna have fun. Bye, Vince.
Adios.
Confessions of a Film Poser.